$75. I put an ad in the program book. What else do they want? I just can't give any more time. I'm just strapped. Let me leave you with a story to close. People who have made the ultimate sacrifice against all odds. And hopefully this will resonate with you. Let me take you back to September 11, 2001. And I know there are tons of stories about that awful day in history, and people who made the ultimate sacrifice, and people who tried their best to help. But I want to focus on just one. Ladder 6 out of Chinatown. Captain J. Jonas and 5 of his firefighters, they were tasked of going into the North Tower just to save as many people as possible. And as firefighters, it is a long haul. They are walking upstairs because there's no elevators. So they found Stairway B, and they're walking up with all this equipment. And they reach the 29th floor, and they hear this awful rumble. Now, the vibration was so powerful that it knocked them to their feet. Before they can come to and gather their senses, they learned that the South Tower had just collapsed on itself, killing about 1,000 people in the process. Before they can even wrap their minds around this, they got a radio call, and it was clear. Get out the North Tower and get out now. Now, those were orders you don't have to repeat. They drop everything and they run. And it's near mayhem trying to get down Stairway B, trying to get out of the North Tower. One of the firefighters said that he was running so fast, he doesn't think his feet touched the steps. That was until they got to the 20th floor. There, they found Josephine Harris, an elderly African-American woman working in the World Trade Center. She had a number of ailments, but she managed to walk 50 floors. But her body was no longer able to move. She could go no further. Josephine had picked the 20th floor to die. Captain J. Jonas, with one sentence, changed the fate of his crew forever. He told his firefighters, we have to take her with us. So one firefighter put Josephine on his arms, and the other firefighters, who could have continued running, stayed for support. And they walked down the steps, one by one. Everyone else is running around, running past them. They're essentially invisible to anyone else who's running. But they carried Josephine one step at a time. By the 4th floor, Josephine just couldn't go anymore. She begged the firefighters to go on without her, but they refused. So what they did now was one firefighter grabbed one leg, one firefighter grabbed the other leg, one was attached to each arm. Captain Jonas and the other firefighters grabbed her body, and they started to move downstairs. But it was too late. The awful roar that they heard before is now coming to the North Tower. The white smoke that you've seen on TV has now encased Stairway B, where they're completely blind. And they hear this awful slapping. Those are the floors, concrete floors, collapsing on each other. It was the sound of their death. The sound kept coming closer and closer, faster and faster. They curled up in a ball and waited for impact. And all of a sudden, everything went silent. Captain Jonas was surprised as anyone. And once he gathered his thoughts, he called out his firefighters one by one to make sure they were okay. One by one, they answered. he finally called out to Josephine. Josephine answered as well. For some reason, this small pocket in Stairway B stayed together when everything else collapsed around it. And through several hours of digging and searching, the latter 6 firefighters and Josephine made history as the first survivors to emerge from the ruins of the World Trade Center. I like telling this story because the metaphors are so rich. They brought in experts, they brought in engineers. No one could explain why that section of Stairway B stayed together. Well, at least there isn't an earthly explanation. Here's what they do know. If they would have made it to the ground floor, they would have been crushed by the concrete and steel. If they would have made it to ladder 6, where they were on their way to the triage of Josephine and anyone else, the debris from the North Tower had unexpectedly become so wide that they would have died in the rubble as well. All the time they thought they were saving Josephine, she saved them. The message here is God calls on all of us, without exception, to pick up the Josephines in our lives. And that can manifest its way in several ways, including participating in programs with the NAACP. In other ways, you can make a difference. You can make a difference, and you can have that kind of impact. And I know life is hard. Life runs fast. And you know, we're running through life where our feet is barely touching the steps. Yeah. But you know what? Captain Jonas and his firefighters knew the circumstance. They knew their orders. They knew by picking up Josephine, that one person out of 1,000, it could have been anybody, that they were going to die. And they did it anyway. Because they heard that voice inside, that picking up this one person was bigger than the terrorist planes that day. It was more important than all the people running past them. It was bigger than themselves. You may never have 100 floors of concrete and steel fall on you to test your humanity and courage. But you can have just as much of an impact and make a difference by participating in programs that the NAACP provides, whether it's Hughes in the battlefield, whether it's AXO, whether it's the MLK program, the scholarship program that the Gloucester NAACP provides. It can be life-changing, it can be life-motivating, and yes, it can also be life-saving. It was the great Jackie Robinson who said, a life is not important except for the impact it has on other lives. The award winners today has made that impact. The NAACP in Gloucester County and other NAACP chapters have made that impact. The torch has been passed to you. Whether it's a donation, whether it's time, whether it's mentoring, just show up. Just show up. Let's start there. Because if you show up, it tells the people on the other end that they are valued, they count, and they make a difference. You are the change you want to see in the world. You are the difference you want to make. All you have to do is when you hear that voice, pick up Josephine. Thank you. Thank you.
And I think that you're going to find the melody familiar. It goes like this. Listen to a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. It'll only take a minute, so listen well. I'll tell you how Jesus saved me from a town called hell. In Northeast Philadelphia, not born but raised, church is actually where I spent the most of my days. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool on the usher bar, inquiring, repping Christ at school. When a couple of people who were laughed in my face started make me questioning my faith. I went through bullying and depression. I was broke but exiled. I said, I'm not going to go through this again in college. I pulled up to the bar 3 to 5 times a week. I was hospitalized because of suicidal tendencies. I looked to the kingdom as the devil tried to kill me, but Jesus Christ, he